said that Philip Yeo made Batam a household name. Please don't get it wrong. Batam is a household name for many things. He only made it for the industrial part. So don't give him credit for things he didn't do. Okay. So I've known Chairman. The only name I can call him is Chairman because he's my first Chairman and he's my eternal Chairman. I met you almost 40 years ago when I was a young man with much more hair than him. But he stays eternal young and we grow old because he makes us grow old and stays young. I went for this interview at TDB in 1986. Chairman had just come on board as chairman. And I think it was an interview I never forgot. That time there was no Wikipedia, no internet, nothing. When you want to research on people, you got to go and read newspapers and talk to people. Many of them will tell you nonsense, but you just take it in because there's no way to check. So they told me this is a very fierce guy, better be careful of him, So I went in all very scared, but it was one of the most memorable interviews I had. So mind you, he was the chairman of EDB and he was interviewing a young graduate and he did that for each and every employee. So that shows how much value he puts on people, right? He made one mistake, he hired me, so you do make mistakes. But later when I came out of the interview, I was very surprised. I think it was a very funny interview because I was expecting a lot of things. So he was asking me all kinds of questions, I won't go into details. But after I realized that actually he was just trying to find out whether I would make a better engineer because I did naval architecture or would I make a better con man. So I think he decided I'll make a better con man and he hired me for EDB. So thank you for saving the engineering world. Okay, so Chairman, as I said, I've known you for 40 years and throughout this time, I have not seen your high levels of energy, enthusiasm and engagement drop. So how do you manage to do so? This eternal, you are like this, the ever-ready battery, last time advertisement, never stop one. So do you have a lithium-ion battery inside you? How do you keep yourself so energetic?
Well, the trick is that I get bored very easily, so I look for multiple jobs. So the idea is to do as many jobs as possible, but the job actually done by people who are actually active and really do their job. So I basically class myself as a chief slave driver.
Chief slave driver, yeah. That I can attest to it.
So I'm a chief slave driver, you pay me money. Then I look for a good slave to execute. The key, a chief slave driver must have lots of slaves and slaves must do their job. I used to tell him, who built the pyramid of Egypt? You think that Pharaoh did nothing. It's a chief slave driver who drives all slaves to build the pyramid. So what I do is I always do multiple jobs. And some people complain, I am able to remember all the projects because I compartmentize my idea what to do. But the key is all the work succeeds because of the slaves, the people execute. The key in life to succeed, you must also always find good slaves.
So that's of course important, find good slaves. Yeah. And the worst thing, the interesting thing is that the slaves don't mind being slaves. Yeah. So that's the skill. So then, of course, we talk about energy, right? So, in EDB, when we used to give advice to young officers learning from our own mistakes, it was firstly, of course, when you travel with him, even if it's a 2-week trip, you can only have hand carry. Of course, for him, easy, because he only carries his clothes. We all have to carry gifts for our guests and all that, but even then, no choice. You cannot check in luggage. And the other sage advice I used to give to young officers was never to go to the toilet same time as him. Because he will go into the toilet at the airport, he will rush out, and you will be left holding whatever you are holding. So don't ever go in with him because he will just run away and you will lose him. Right? So, so you have of course been involved and pivotal in developing so many things in and for Singapore, and interestingly, not only in the public sector, he's a unique character. He's not only a public sector, he's also built a lot in the private sector, right? So we can go on defense, semicon, chemicals, biomedical sciences, R&D, entrepreneurship, and all that. So, I mean, you alluded to it, your strategy is about finding good slaves, but how do you manage to do so many things all at once? Maybe if you can share with us, because we get overwhelmed, although we are in senior position, do 3-4 things, you lose all your hair. So how, do you have a formula or template that you use that we could try and...
For example, in EDB, we have 2 key groups for our chairman. The chemical group, the electronics group. And these 2 groups are very strong leaders. So I interact with the officers directly. In fact, the problem of being EDB senior staff, you get bypassed. I go straight to the officer, give me the facts. So and that's the way I run. So, and that key is that you build up confidence in young people. The young people are expected to go ahead, don't write me papers, you got a job, get a job done. Now, that's on the EDB side government, but because of my background in defense, of which half my time was in MINDEF, half the time running industry. So when I started as a young officer at 24, running the armament industry, Singapore food industries, ammunition, guns, several things at the same time. But because I was given the flexibility to spend half the time in MINDEF, but half the time running company. So what I did is that I also carried the idea when I joined EDB. I was able to do Batam at the same time as UC, Vietnam, Bangalore, all at the same time. But with different teams. Each project I supervise, I had a good team. And I review every project with the team involved. So the key is that able to multiply, you must delegate. You must find good people that you can trust and give them the flexibility, get it done. And as far as I'm concerned, just keep me posted. I get reports regularly, but then that's how they run. When I was in there as a young officer of 25, 26, I supervised almost 20 companies personally. And every project I review, and then I give it to Dr. Goh, my boss, over lunchtime and tell what's happening. So today the company I run by boards. I don't need a board, just myself and the GM or CEO. And that was where I run. And I think they enjoy a lot of freedom to get the job done. Nobody second guessing them or telling what to do. So in a sense, I got that freedom from Dr. Goh, who left it to me, and I left it to my own officers the same way. So in a sense, the key is to delegate to people, trust them to get a job done. If they make a mistake, they must learn. The key is we all make mistakes, but if you don't learn, I'll allow them 3 mistakes. 1, 2, 3, tell and get rid of him.
Yeah, so I think, again, those of us who have worked under chairman, the empowerment he gives you and the support he gives you is quite unique. So you also feel like you can achieve things. So that's an important point. And I remember one minister, the chairman was not in the meeting. He was talking to an investor, and this is a very senior minister who said the conversation turned to Philip Yeo, and he said Philip Yeo is a national treasure. He's one of a kind. And now Professor Sam, Tom just mentioned that you are his best leader. So you see a lot of people, looking at how Philip Yeo does things and really admires it. But I think it's very difficult to emulate. Don't try and emulate him. You may burn your fingers.
No, the key is to find good. Let me give an example. When I came back from Toronto, I came back in June. I joined defense in July out of my own interest. I didn't want to work in Ministry of Finance, budget division, very boring, counting money. So I said I want to go to do engineering work. So I went to July. Then for all my classmates, we were all Colombo plan, coming back from overseas, nothing to do. So I went to computer list in Manpower, called them all up. Now you are now working for me for free. Because they're all bonded, they have no choice to go. So I started the whole team by stealing people. So the key in getting a job done is always steal people.
So it's called the kidnapper. So, Chairman, in your impressive buffet of achievements, is there something that stands out most particular? What has given you, you are still doing a lot of things, but so far, what has given you the most satisfaction? If you can highlight 1 or 2 things, what has been most rewarding for you?
Well, as you know, in my career, I was in defense, I was EDB, I was also industry. From the EDB point of view, the 2 key projects for us is basically Jurong Chemical Island. It's a very major investment. It was a major risk because we're not too sure people will come. The second major risk that people are not aware is pharma. We have only one company called Glaxo that came to Singapore to make ranitidine, 1982. From 1982, there's nothing. So finally, I said, look, we must just stop just making Glaxo alone. So we built Tuas Pharma, reclaimed land. I think Li Chong and Yo Chang was there. We reclaimed 360 hectares of land. And we built the pharma industry to it. Today, our key export from Singapore is not electronics, it's pharma. In fact, our main concern is whether Mr. Trump was increase the tariff because that's the highest value. So although in terms of volume, electronics is very big because it's the size of the industry, the pharma has the highest margin. So my own view, there are two key areas I'm quite proud as far as EDB concerns: Jurong, chemical, and Tuas Pharma.
Of course, you are also involved in many other things like aerospace and semiconductors, and I mean, all those industries would not be where they are, without your strong involvement. So we talk about your biggest satisfaction. What has been your biggest challenge or disappointment so far, and how did you bounce back?
Well, I was interviewed recently. Fiona is around here, right? So what happens that in 1982, when I was pump sec, I was pump sec in 1969. I was very young pump sec. I joined the government in 1970. In less than 9 years, I was pump sec. So
that was what? You were what, 32 years old?
33.
32. Okay. Yeah.
So I wanted to build what called defense electronics, because most of the equipment in defense were about mechanical, ammunition, tanks. So I wanted to build electronics. So I created a company called Chartered CAMOS. We made hybrid chips. Today, one called CMOS chips. It's in 1979-80, very early. Then I succeeded because of my defense equipment. And Liao from EDB will come and bug me because I joined the EDB board as a member in 82. Don't tell me in Singapore do semiconductor. So because of Liao's nagging, I started Chartered Semiconductor in 1987.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So Chartered Semiconductor in 1987, the same year as Taiwan, KT Lee, the Minister of Technology, called me and said, look, Philip, we're starting this company called TSMC. Philip takes 1/3, can you take 20%? The message I released from KTD was former minister, finance minister, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, who called me up, so he picked up the phone. KTD talked to me. So I said, look, Mr. KTD, I just started Chartered Semiconductor, so I got no money left. If I have not started Semiconductor, the money in TSMC, bingo. Right? But the difference is this, because our semiconductor industry, we have some STM.
Yeah.
So we are doing some, and then so it's not key to Singapore. To Taiwan, the most important industry to KTD, he passed away in 2000 something, was TSMC. And he put all the effort in TSMC. Every year, you got to plow money. Because semiconductor wafer fab is very expensive. You spend $1 today, next year you spend $2, next year $4. It's almost arithmetic progression. If you are cannot play that casino game, you are dead. In Singapore, we succeeded. But by 2009, I think Temasek sold it to Mubadala called me up. He said, we want to buy, we just bought Fishkill IBM in New York. We bought AMD wafer fab foundry in Dresden, Germany. We just buy Chartered Semiconductor in Singapore. So I was in Abu Dhabi. Mubadala CEO asked me, I said, okay, what do you want to do? Well, we want to buy all these and eventually create a wafer foundry in UAE. I said, I'm not too sure. Today I'm right, there's nothing there. I told him, semiconductor foundry is a very expensive business. It's like having a French mistress. French mistress is very expensive to maintain.
How you know?
That's a famous English phrase. Because capital equipment for semiconductor is almost geometric, AP or whatever call it. So fortunately, and to this day, Abu Dhabi, Mubadala has not succeeded to set wafer fab. One is money, two, the engineering talent. You need each wafer fab plus engineers, plus polytech technicians. We're talking about 3,000, 4,000 people. And semiconductor plant is 24/7. The foundry is very expensive, you need to continue. There's no time for thank God it's Thursday, thank God it's Friday. So my belief that why Taiwan succeeded, because every wafer fab I visit in Taiwan, next door is a dormitory. So the engineers and technicians working there are on shift duty. Can this happen in America? I'm not too sure. Because American believe we thank God it's Thursday. So there's no way. So when I look at TSMC's factory in Phoenix, Arizona, phase 1, phase 2, I'm not very positive because in Taiwan, they really work 24/7. And Charter Semiconductor, they're same. Factory runs on 3 shifts, almost 4 shifts. So that's the nature of business. But Singapore is smart and says, okay, it's very hard for us to do foundry. We do the intermediate. So our semiconductor, people are not aware, we are one of the key exporters of semiconductor components. Not the foundry business, but the component parts that go to every industry. And today it constitutes the majority of our manufacturing investment. In terms of volume, in terms of margin is pharma.
So I think another way of putting it is that we had a good chance of probably having a major Singapore-owned semiconductor
Charter
company.
is still here, except it's no longer belong to us. Belongs to Mubadala or Global Foundry. Global Foundry is registered in America. They have not succeeded to set up a foundry in Abu Dhabi, 0.
Okay.
Because that's not possible. If they start a foundry in Abu Dhabi, where do they have engineers or technicians? Can they work 24/7? Not possible.
Yeah. No, I remember we were all very sad. 2009, right? When it was sold to the Middle Easterners. Anything else that you was a key challenge for you, or you felt that it could have been done better?
When I joined in '86, and we got the economy going. My greatest worry was we cannot just do production. We're just a production hub. So I said we must pay attention to research or development. Research, development, engineering, production, and marketing. So I convinced PM, that was the MTI, he was Minister of Trade Industry, that we do our own research. So I came up with the idea to create a National Science Technology Board. Now in most countries, National Science Technology Board is under Minister of Education, Minister of Science, I don't know. These are people with education or science technology. And I want to be under MTI, under economic focus. I want the research to focus on outcome, or just the research part. So that's how NSTB came. But because I was busy with EDB, I was also running Singapore Technologies at the same time, half-time there. I didn't have the time to pay attention to NSTB, so I left it to Lam Chong Leong for 2 years, and I left it to Mika. By 2000, I realized there's nothing else other than engineering. There was no biomedical, and here I was trying to chase a farmer. So I decided to, George Yeo as minister, I would like to take over NSTB, although I will focus on the biomedical. So in October 2000, I said I will take over. So 2001, February, I took over NSTB, and today you have A-Star. Why did I do that? Because I realized in the research lab, there are no Singaporeans in the research lab. Most of the researchers are from abroad. They are good people, but nobody. Secondly, the Public Service Commission is only gives scholarship for undergraduate. Masters, they even there allowed. The EDB, I just ignore them. How can you build a country of research where there's no PhDs? So I decided, okay, I took the NSTB budget, which is February 2001, put 10% aside for scholarship. And that was illegal because the budget is for research funding. So PM at the time was, DPM says this is totally wrong. I have to sequester the money back. So George just wrote, he's trying to build up people. So because of my illegal action of NSTB of 10%, today we have 1,800 PhDs, all Singaporeans. Another 500 are still under training. And all of them, 2,300. Now they are now spread everywhere in Singapore, in the economy, university, startups. So if my illegal action of stealing money from research to be used for scholarship, there are no Singaporeans. So now I look around my research labs, I know who they are. So the biggest mistake is that Singapore has always have a very trading mentality. Other people's money is welcome. Why spend money on research? In fact, when I started research, says, why you want to do research? We are a nation of technicians. That was Mr. Lee Kuan Yew's point. Dr. Goh appreciate. And when I was in defense, Dr. Goh allowed me to send some of my defense science people for PhD. Right? And then I did it illegally because I don't use PSC money, I use my defense budget. But that's very limited to defense work. But when I took over NSTB in 2001 February, I changed the whole of history. So what we have today in NSTB now, or A-Star now, is our own people. So my aim is to have at least 50% of the scientists in A-Star, NUS, NTU, Singaporeans. And today we have come to almost that point. In fact, they're all rising up. So it takes about 3 years of undergraduate, 1 year of internship, 5 years of PhD, 3 year post. It takes 12 years to train a scientist. So I used to make a remark, we have a bachelor degree in biomedical science, we are only good as a testing cleaner. So people are very upset, but it's fact. So the reality is that now we're succeeding. The key takes time. My estimate will take me about 20 years before we have called our own Singaporeans. So today they are all there.
So I think you have played a huge role in the development of talent in general, and of course, PhD talent. When we used to visit his office when he was chairman A-Star, he had a file on each and every scholar, and he knew their history inside out. Very scary.
Every semester, every job asked for the transcript.
Yeah.
How come you got a B? No reason for you not to get a A.
He was like worse than a tiger mom.
When I was a PhD scholar, nobody asked me for my transcript. Oh, you're home already, that's it. Whereas when in the A-Star, I asked for every transcript. Even when I was having EDB.
Just use the mic.
If I was EDB, the scholarship, I asked for the transcript. Shocked me also no. Why are you hanging around? There's some courses in university called kinesiology. It means horse riding, ballet dancing, diving. I said, wow, okay, that maybe one credit, okay.
So he always used to say that he likes scholars who go to the Midwest for education, not on the West Coast. West Coast, you just have fun.
See, the reason why I send my scholars to Illinois, Michigan, Purdue, all the miserable places, because winter is so bad, you just stay indoors and study. If you are in California, you'll be on the beach. You will not be studying. And that's the key. Every one of my scholars, they go to the business place, the Carnegie Maverick, they score 4.0. Why? There's nothing else to do but study.
Well, you see, that's the slave driver.
The key, why would I put the 4.0? What you don't understand. If you want to do a PhD at MIT, Stanford, 4.0 counts. It's not a joke. Every applicant that go to MIT, Stanford, Harvard for a PhD, they're all top students. So your undergrad, for your sake of going to PhD, if you are going to top bachelor degree, it's not important. But you are fighting against the brightest talent from all over the world to get into the top universities. The acceptance rate in PhD schools, you look at the lab, all foreigners. So your challenge is to get against, when you are a PhD program in MIT, Stanford, or Harvard, you're all pure competitors. Not a guy with a grade B, or C, or a donkey grade. No such thing. They are all equal. So that's the reality of life.
So, Chairman, the ability to attract and retain talent, global talent, has played a key role for Singapore's success, as you have explained. But do you think our ability to attract top global talent is just as important today as it was in the past, or do you think we have reached a critical mass that we can slow down on that? And second, do you think that we are doing enough? If you think we still need to attract, do you think we are doing enough, or our policies have become too restrictive?
No, the key is that whatever industry you want to pursue, whether in physical sciences or medical sciences or AI, you need talent. And given our population size, it's a finite talent pool. So the reality is that kidnapping is an important function for Singapore. We must track the talent. I just sent an article to my American friends, my Harvard Business School friend. Maths Olympiad 2024. I sent an article, picture. This is ABC beats CBC. ABC is American-born Chinese, CBC Chinese-born Chinese. The winner of the American Olympic against China is ABC. So where are these ABC gone? They are kids or migrants from China. So reality, if you don't steal talent, you will just be a mediocre. America has never beaten the Chinese for 19 years. They match Olympiad every year. Last year, for the first time they beat, and you saw the picture, they're all ABC. 4 pictures. I sent to my class last week. So now the joke is ABC beats CBC, and CBC can beat SBC, Singapore Chinese. And if we don't steal talent, we'll be stuck with Singapore born whatever, yeah. And America benefits by stealing people. There's an advantage of America until Mr. Trump changes. In a country like Japan, it's all Japanese. In a country like China, it's all Chinese. But America is the only country that's able to steal people, whether they appreciate or not. And that's how America succeeds. The day America stops stealing people, it'll be a mediocre. All the great research in America, you go to a lab, I visited lab MIT, I visited labs in Berkeley, they're all foreigners, with PhD program. Even in Carnegie Mellon, 60% of students in Carnegie Mellon are international students. And that's how America benefit. They don't appreciate until they realize now the French and the British are trying to steal a few unwanted scientists. America has a big talent pool. So whatever they can steal, even I told Tai Eng Chai, I will take one, go and steal, but how many can we steal? So the American advantage is stealing talent. People want to migrate there, and if the kids in Maths Olympiad are ABC, their parents went there. In fact, the instructor of the students from Maths Olympiad for over 12 years, his parents was from Singapore. Father, mother migrated to America. He was born as ABC. He's a professor at Carnegie Mellon. He instructs the Maths Olympic team all the time. His name is Lo Po Shen. So his parents were SBC. He goes to America by ABC. And help America to get the Maths Olympiad. So if you don't steal talent, you'll be a mediocre nation. And Singapore complain, why is always talk about foreign children? If you are Singapore students, you get all the support for the government education. If I get students from Vietnam, India, wherever I can steal, and they come here from Malaysia. If they're hungry enough, they will survive. They will prosper, because what drives the country is you must have hunger to succeed. And that's what key is, that every migrant is a hungry person. So if our forefathers were all hungry people, but over time our kids becomes, thank God it's Thursday. Oh, by the way, in UK, there's a program called 35 hours a week, 4 days a week. So what you do with the 3 other days? Play mahjong.
Yeah, so Chairman, you have, of course, you are a role model to many, and you have a huge following, what we call the PYI Mafia, or the PY Mafia rather. So who have been your role models and people that you have looked up to as people that you wanted to emulate, if there's any such?
Unfortunately, I ended up in the Defense 75. I got Dr. Goh as my boss. And he was interested, although he was my minister from 1970. He moved to education in 79. And he still supervised me because I was still PERMSEC Defense. He was TPM. So although my minister of defense was Goh Chok Tong, I never talked to him. I always report to Dr. Goh. So Dr. Lee, How Yun Chu is your job. Are you here today or not? So even How Yun Chu was my minister, my direct reporting was to Dr. Goh. Dr. Goh was TPM and Minister of Education. So all my defense was technology weapons, they report to him. So How Yun Chu let me out of freedom, Goh Chok Tong let me alone. So the key is that, like it or not, even when Dr. Goh retired, he moved to MAS. So whenever I do my bottom project, I had to call him for help. I said, look, Dr. Goh, I invited my Indonesian government in December 89. 89. They want me to help them decide what to do with Batam. And I said, Dr. Goh, I don't know anybody in Jakarta. Would you like to come with me? He looked at me, you pay, And I paid for a ticket. For 2 days also he was chairman at MAS, no longer a minister. He told Indonesian, this guy very impatient, very hurry up. Whatever he wants, give to him. So then I came back to Singapore, started the project in 1990. I needed money. Then I checked around. If I were to borrow Indonesian currency, I had to pay 25% interest. So I went to his office as chairman MA. I said, look, I need to find Singapore currency to finance a project in Batam. The rough estimate was $500 million. Dr. Goh looked at me and said, you write to me. I looked at him, what do I write? He turned around and wrote a note, you send this back to me. And that note was, then Dr. Kok Siu quickly typed, right? And Kok Siu signed to Lee Ek Chiang. I raised $600 million. Singapore currency, the whole Batam project was financed from Singapore. And the letter writing to him was written by him. Not bad. So if I like to find a boss like that, you'll be deeply appreciative.
So how did you get away with all of this? Not reporting to you. We all do that, we cannot kick. How come you didn't get kicked out?
No, the best part is this, what do you want to do about Batam? I say, well, I want 100% ownership for the multinational, want zero tax. So it's okay. You write. I said, what do I write? I sit down and wrote. Okay, can you check? Then he took it the letter, he drafted himself, I checked for him the facts, what I want. Gave to Lee Kuan Yew. Lee Kuan Yew went to Brunei, met Suharto, that's it. The trouble is they never returned the records, only in my head, and Dr. Goh and Lee Kuan Yew. That was it. Then Lee Kuan Yew came back and says, Suharto says, can I have 100% ownership? Maybe 95. I said, okay. Yeah, tax holiday. I says, well, I do transfer pricing, which means whatever I produce, put in a container, I seal, bring the butter, assemble, I seal, bring up. No Indonesian market. So it's okay. So I would stop the 95%, 5% ownership. I created Batam Industrial Park. So every company that invests in Batam Industrial Park, I own 5%. So Indonesians are happy because 95% are foreign company, 5% is Indonesian company, in theory. But I'm the landlord and the owner of the land, so make difference. So all this flexibility was because Dr. Goh, Lee Kuan Yew, Suharto. And by the way, there's nothing in writing. No? That's the best agreement you can have. Today, now they all die staying writing Mr. Trump's tariff agreement. So wherever I travel in Indonesia, Batam, Lee Kuan Yew said, go and see Suharto's staff. So I go and see Jakarta, talk to his chief of staff here, then go talk to the old man. That was it. So all the things are done on because of Dr. Goh, Lee Kuan Yew, and Suharto.
So I must share with you all, Chairman has a very unique and uncanny ability to develop relationships in his own unique style. So when we used to go with him for meetings, meeting the top CEOs of company, 1 hour meeting, 45 minutes, they will talk cock, right? They will talk about everything, world affairs, to food, to disease and family and all that.
Pokemon.
Or Pokemon, whatever, even Harry Potter, So, and then last 15 minutes, you'll talk about work, and then you say, okay, my staff will follow up. But later you realize that actually that's what it's about. It's about building this relationship. It's not only engagement at intellectual and professional level, it's also at a personal and emotional level.
So I'll give one example. US on Seagate. So they have a new chairman, a new CEO, and our officer in EDB was very worried whether we get approval. So I went into the room, brought him in. I saw on his table all the Pokemon characters. So he said, how can you play Pokemon? I told me I had to deal with my nephew. Whatever I do, I talk to him. So I sat down with him. I said, my daughter also play Pokemon. That's fine, but go and buy you a book on how to play Pokemon. You are very happy. And the project was approved.
Very simple.
Simple. Who was officer was very stunned, you see.
Yeah.
He didn't have to tell anything, no.
No, and this thing has repeated many times, whether it's with companies, in the pharmaceutical sector, GSK, you remember Sir Paul, also the special relationship you have. And as I said, with many executives. So I think this is something that, we as young EDB officers, of course we cannot emulate him, but we tried to do that. That one critical part is really about developing relationships and comfort. Sometimes a project will only come when the time is right. You cannot time it, right? But the relationships will last forever. So I think that's one thing. He never put it like that to us, but we watch him perform and learn from that.
Allow you cook for a while, take your time.
Yeah.
And the right time when they are ready, we are ready.
Absolutely.
So when you push too hard, you get rebound. Doesn't work here.
Absolutely.
I remember we went to see support chairman of Glaxo in January 6, and PM was then Minister of Trade Industry, right? So he went in and then he asked support, I understand you have another project. Support chairman, we were very honest, I don't have any project. Which is true because he was not ready. Well, so EDB officer was Xiao Yang and we were very worried. We get in trouble. I said, but after 1 or 2 years, I went back to him. Yeah, okay. So then we had the next project and so on. Then he was so appreciative. He says, look, I'd like to thank Singapore for all the support for my projects, etc. How do I return? I said, well, you can create a scholarship using Glaxo's name, and we will train our young people. That's a good idea. So how much do you need? I said, well, 30 scholars a year multiplied by 10, 300, calculate on the desk, tablecloth, 50 million. Finish. That's it. And this was at Raffles Hotel. We went back to to London, he sent me 2 checks, 25. That's it. And Shirley Chang got $50 million. So then they formed a committee, 2 Glaxo staff and 2 EDB staff with Shirley. They took care of the endowment. And that financed 340 scholars of EDB, all sent overseas. All of them. And the board was very appreciative. Every year, on a scholarship award of 30 to 40 students, you will come personally to give the award himself, 4 times in a row. Until
There are some of them here, some GSK scholars, right?
yeah, personally, right?
Yeah.
As the boys are one kind, very good. And his way was appreciative. The reward for Glaxo was this was the best reward. No other company, I did go after companies. Many Japanese companies, I made them cough up 1 scholarship each. So many of scholarship Japanese only one. Suntrain and so on. But Paul was only one who gave us $50 million for EDB Glaxo. Then the second one I conned was this my mobile friend. ExxonMobil. So he was going to retire, Lou Noto, chairman of Mobile. So I said, well, Lou, I need to find funding for my management training of my EDB staff, means 1 year master's program. So how much do I need? I said, maybe 20 million. Give a check, 20 million. Nothing in writing, that's it. I never asked for any of the scholars. In fact, all the EDB management staff, they went to Sloan MIT program, Harvard was financed by Lou Noto. 20 million, just like that. So, and these are people who are appreciative. What I can say was, I jokingly said, why did we succeed with support? I don't know. Both are Italians.
Both are what?
Italians.
Oh, Italians. It's an Italian job.
So Italians are very appreciative. I've never received $1 from a white American. Anglo-Saxon American. It's always Italian. So when I go to London, when Lou Noto retired, he would take me to New York, Italian mafia area, sit down with his good friends, have a lunch. So Italians are very similar to us. Very appreciative, and they say, no contract, no agreement, 50 million from support, 20 million Luto. In fact, I was surprised when my book, Neither Civil or Servant, who approached him, he sent a check of US $5,000 donation. Because the purpose of the book was to raise money for charity. Lou sent a check.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you can ask Abel or no, there's a check from Lou. So I still keep in touch with him. But see, the key is that the Italians, well, people say because of Marco Polo. The Italians and Chinese are very similar. They also eat noodles. I believe they stole Chinese technology. Macaroni is basically Chinese noodle with a hole in it.
So guys, go and make Italian friends. Okay, I think I'll pause here. Let's take some questions from the floor. Just raise your hand. Come up to the mics which are in the center. Yeah, on the left. Please give your name to make sure that you are not a spy. Why are you coming all the way here? Oh, no mic there. Sorry. Okay, oh there. Okay, sorry, cannot see.
Okay, thank you. Hello. Firstly, thank you, Mr. Yeo and Mr. Khiatani, for that fun and really candid Fireside Chat. It was really excellent. Please give a hand of applause to them. My name is Chilo. I'm actually doing a Masters of Science in Venture Creation at NUS this year. I think my question is probably relevant on most people's minds and is very topical. So with Mr. Trump tariffing Singapore 10%, in fact whole world, Malaysia 25%, Indonesia 32%, what can we do to mitigate the effects? Thank you.
Well, Mr. Trump has a $34 trillion debt problem. So he's thinking that maybe by having tariff, you have to pay for the debt. The US interest servicing is $300 million a year. The debt is $34 trillion, roughly about $300 billion interest servicing. So US is quite broke. So I don't think it will compromise on, nobody will get zero for sure. And historically, US tariffs are 2%, 3%, 4%. There are some industries that are free. Pharma is free, aerospace is free. US has always been 2-3%, but other countries are charging higher. Japanese tariff on American cars is quite high, European cars. So in a sense, it's quite right. It's unfair. They are taking advantage. But the reality is that if Singapore has to face 10%, we'll find ways to make ourselves cheaper. There's no other solution. Which means we have to find cheaper components or worry about labor costs. I would say 10% that most people can adjust. Every country will find a way out. 20% tariff, 50% tariff. This is a way of restructuring. Second is, how much can you pass to consumer? So even if those 10%, American consumer will pay for it. And that's something, Mr. Trump is not an economist. He's really a real estate person. You buy a piece of land yourself, finish. He doesn't understand. So reality is that partly because he feels that America has been getting a shorthand historically, which is true. On the other hand, many of companies have moved overseas. So in America, the only thing they sell is Boeing, weapons, software. Apple is all software. So in a sense, American problem is also a job problem. Don't forget, America is not one great nation. There are poorer parts. California is okay, Massachusetts, there are a lot of poorer states. Many of the poorer states are Republican states. So in a sense, what you want to do with terrorists, I don't think it will ever go below 10%. So, in fact, manufacturer will have to find a way to cut costs, but the American consumer has to pay. So the average cost, there's an article that came out, US, each American they spend additional cost of $2,000 per year, roughly. This year, Christmas present, the toys will be more expensive. Your Barbie dolls will be more expensive, your whatever. And because we try to bring the dolls, Barbie dolls to be made in America, not possible. Try to bring Nike shoe back in America, not possible. Right? Even semiconductor, they have their own challenge. So the reality is that tariff of 10% will be the minimum. So Singapore industry has to find ways to cope with costs. And unfortunately, we have to worry about material costs, labor costs, rentals. But as far as the American consumer, they will pay. So that's the answer.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for that very good question. There was another hand up there on the right. Go ahead. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, are you standing there to ask a question? Sorry, I did see you. Okay, let me let you go first. Ladies first. You remain standing there.
Hi, Irene Ho. I'm an editorial consultant, retired journalist. The more I listen to Philip, the more I think, damn, I should have asked for a transfer when I was at MINDEF to work for you.
Still not too late.
Oh, sure, I'm available. What I would like to know is this. Have you managed to find a successor Philip Yeo? A new one?
There's only one Philip Yeo. Cannot have two. Right? But anyway,
I joke with you.
Yeah.
When I was chairman of A-Star in 2001, after changing, I was very keen on stem cell. This is 2001. I thought stem cell were important for us to find ways to treat cancer, immunological diseases, and redevelopment of genes. So I invited a conference of stem cell scientists. So the scientist who stood up there was, I think, Alan Coleman. Alan Coleman says, can we find a way to clone Philip Yeo? I said, you can clone, but it will not be the same. So the joke, we can't, so there's no way for me to find a successor. And the fact, reality is, it depends on what the real life, who takes over.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate but true. Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Chin Wei, currently doing the summer program by NUS Enterprise. So my question would be, so Mr. Philip Yeo is a nation building, kind of like involved with Singapore, since Singapore independence built the entire nation into what it is today. So I want to ask about, what do you think is the key difference with Singapore and other nations in the Southeast Asia, which made Singapore grow so fast compared to its neighbor countries? Yeah, so that's my question.
The key is Dr. Goh and Lee Kuan Yew. As a small nation with no market, there's no way we can attract companies to invest. Neither do we have the agriculture or the natural resources. The only thing was, as a trading nation, Singapore was a free port. So we moved into industrialization as a manufacturing nation. So we invited companies from everywhere, Japan, Europe, US, Hong Kong, textiles. Singapore. And from there, it's very great job because historically, as a trade nation, we have had high unemployment. And manufacturing soak up all the employment. And then eventually, we developed financial services. And so it really thinks that because we have no market, we learn to open up ourselves. In every country around us, they have better resource. Malaysia has excellent resource. But they try to protect their own economy. So in a sense, we succeeded. The only part of Malaysia that followed us was Penang. Because many of the companies I had when I was in EDB, when I short lived, I moved them to Penang. In fact, I literally tend to go to Penang. Because Penang and education was very good. Population was the same. So most of the factories from Singapore eventually set up Penang. Other than Penang and maybe Kulim, which is opposite, belongs to Penang or Kapatua. The rest of Malaysia has no semiconductor plant. It's all in Penang. And even pharma too. Medical devices on Penang. So reality is there's only Penang and Singapore. The rest of Malaysia, agriculture, palm oil, even the palm oil is lost all to Indonesia. And now they are dependent basically on services. By right, the Singapore, when I was 1965, August 1965, Singapore independent. $1 Malaysian was $1.20 Singapore. Today, $1 Malaysian is 33. So what? Actually, they should be doing very well. Indonesia's advantage is sheer size. Philippines, they're all different nations, so we cannot compare. We should be appreciative that we have our neighbors around. And I hope in the future we can grow with our neighbors, especially with this period of tariff competition. We have to learn to work with our neighbors. In fact, we are 600, 700 million people. There are opportunities, but we must learn the language. If you want to deal with Malaysia, especially Indonesia, learn Bahasa. Mandarin is no use there. With China is Mandarin. So every Singaporean kid should have 3 languages: English, Mandarin, and Bahasa. Trilingual. So bilingual is not enough.
So maybe just riding on that question. So in 86, when you joined EDB, and I also joined in 86, Singapore's GDP per capita was less than US 8,000. Today it's more than US 80,000, right? But the whole situation has changed. So if you were chairman EDB again, what are the 2-3 things that you think you would do to make sure that we continue on this growth trajectory?
Well, last week or so, I gave a last talk at IPS. In the past, it's all inbound investments. The reality now, we have to think of outbound. The only way for Singapore companies to grow is to go global. So we must find ways for many Singaporean companies to say, okay, Singapore has no market. Besides multinational, our own companies, we must learn to spread out. So Singapore companies are encouraged to work with our neighbors, sell to our neighbors, subsidies our neighbors. Penang, many of our companies have offices in Penang. We have now aerospace in Thailand, Vietnam is potential. So Singapore companies, the only way to grow, take advantage of our neighborhood. In a sense, we go regional in a real big way. So for example, I know people at Pico, good friends of mine, because I helped them when I was chairman, this NCB I got them to do. Now most of the Pico business is outside Singapore. Yeah, literally, and anything we do, exhibitions, they are outside Singapore. And many of the Singapore companies, engineering, are doing the same. So the only way for Singapore to grow is no longer as GDP, but we really look at almost at gross national income. We go beyond the market. So if we look at Singapore, to grow our GDP at more than 2-3% with tough. But I look at our companies now growing international. Really, we are still growing. It's said that more of the jobs are outside, but the income comes to Singapore. So the CEO, headquarters, financial management is still here. The R&D could be here. But if we really want to grow, we must spread out. So that's what happened for a small nation. If you go to Switzerland, Switzerland has a very small population, 6-7 million. We are international. Look at Italy. I just read in a company called Ferrero. Anybody know this yellow chocolate called Ferrero?
I think everybody knows.
Everybody know. And then what their main product? Nutella. Besides that, they are now buying over Kellogg's. So what we use at Kellogg's cornflakes now belong to Italy. Why? Because if they don't grow and acquire other people, in fact, I went through the whole list of Ferrero company. Every year they acquire other people. You don't grow by staying at home or count your belly button, you know. You grow by actually acquiring, and that's what. So here is a talent company, a family company And it is chocolate, Nutella, and their own chocolate. Now they own all the US, the whole of Kellogg's is American. So in Singapore, government wants to say we have to grow, maybe by acquiring, by investing in our neighborhood.
Okay, we got a queue coming up. Okay, all guys, girls better wake up. Okay, let's start with that handsome-looking gentleman there.
Thanks, Mr. Khiatani. Thanks, Mr. Yeo, for the delightful sharing so far. My name is Yimeng. I'm from NUS Medicine. Sorry. My question's really simple. I think for a lot of us, we had this saying that 20% of the work gives you 80% of the results. So I was wondering, from a personal capacity, in the various roles that you've had, what's been the highest return on investment thing that you do in your day-to-day work, or maybe something that students, professionals nowadays are not doing enough of? Thank you.
Well, 20%, 80%, in every business, the high value comes from the base, which is low value. So you never discount the low value part, very important. Every premium needs a base. If you want to have 20%, you must prepare to do the difficult job. That's a reality. So, secondly is that our young people must learn to read widely. Don't just read straight times, Read widely, and what senior manager said, useless facts. Because you read a lot of things in different background, sometimes you can bring them all together. So your young people don't read, rather than spend the time on TikTok. And I really worry. My generation we read a lot. From when I was in secondary school, our requirement magazine, everyone had to own was Economist. It's a Western magazine. But we use that as a reading material. I don't think I read straight times. So the key concern, I worry whether our younger generation today to read. And reading is important because the more you read, you accumulate a lot. Whether knowledge is applied depends on the opportunity. But the key is our young people must be inquisitive.
Okay, then we'll go to the other gentleman there.
Yes, thank you. My name is Albert. I'm all the way from West Africa, Sierra Leone. It's my first time in Singapore. Well, I've heard of the legendary what it is true. So I want to ask you a question. This is going to be a bit personal because I believe a lot of young people in the room will relate to this. So, sir, you understand the struggle of young people. Basically, the early 20s syndrome. That is the one where we have uncertainties, self-doubt, anxieties, and we are unexperienced. So my question is, what are the unique qualities that separated you from the rest of your peers that you can share as ancient wisdom for the next generation?
Very good question. Then you go back to when you were 20 years old.
Well, the key is that
Yesterday.
whatever job you're given, try to do more. So I used to joke that if someone leaves a job untouched, I take it over. Because the more I do, the more I learn. Ownership is not important, but even that project doesn't belong to me and it's not touching it, I take it over. The key, you must be always ready to learn. Whatever you learn belongs to you. And nobody can take away from you. And that, whatever you do is experience. So you must be ready to go beyond just your responsibility. So at one time I was accused of being an octopus in defense. Every project, something stolen by me. Because if they are not doing it, I must well take it over. So my reputation in defense was other people's department job, I also take over. The key is I'm interested to learn. Now, at the end, it succeeds, I pass it to them. But so when anything is lost in defense, they all look for me. So the key is young people must be curious and must learn. Not just what you're doing, but any job you do adds value to you.
So I think that's very sound advice. Normally our natural tendency is not to take on extra things. If you can go against the flow and take on things that others don't want to do. So basically that's chairman's experience. Go to this side, yes please.
Hello, my name is Jan. I'm in the NUS Enterprise Program. I am a spy from the United States. But on a real note, my question is a little bit close to Albert, but when I first joined the program, I didn't know much about enterprise or entrepreneurship. So as you have a big wealth of wisdom, what is one advice you want to give the next generation of leaders and the next generation of social entrepreneurs? What is one message
that you want us to never forget?
I think every generation has the opportunity to do their own thing. The key is that you do your own thing and you learn to work with colleagues. Find good, you got 5 fingers. If you want to get a job done, you need 5 fingers. So if you want to be a thumb, you look for 4 more fingers. So find friends, classmates, friends who help you in the work. You cannot do it alone.
And make sure they are not all thumbs.
No, not possible. So the key is that every work you need a team. So you must be able to convince or call your classmates to help you. And then you also must share the credit what you. The key is find classmates, friends who can share your own passion.
Thank you.
Side, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mano and Mr. Yeo. So I'm Chen Xian. I was from NUS Year 1 Computer Science student. So I just like to ask is how ASEAN can unite and thrive amid global challenges, and what youths like us can do to inspire the region to achieve these goals. And why am I asking this is because I think as an entrepreneurship person, people always ask me like, think of the whole ASEAN market. But given the current world, and then ASEAN is not like EU, which is have similar values, have some sort of level of economic level. So I'm just curious what we can do to let the region be more united.
EU is a common market. ASEAN will not have a common market. That's a reality. So every country has their own protected industries, but the key way is that that's reality. Because there are different levels of economic development. The day they are equal, maybe we can have a common market. And the reality is that if we want to participate in our neighborhoods market, we must prepare to go there. So staying in Singapore alone, well, understand the culture, the language, is not help us. So we need to have young Singaporeans willing to go to Jakarta, go to Ho Chi Minh, go anywhere. And that's the only reality. I give you an example. When I was asked by the Vietnamese to help develop an industrial park in Ho Chi Minh, because they follow my Batam project. So the party secretary of Vietnam was a very senior guy. So I said, okay, I only do a project provide, you give me the land. I don't want to pay for the land. You make sure I got the water. And I sent David Lim, JTC, look for the best land. And David Lim said, oh, I found the land, you want rubber estate. Rubber estate is hard land, not swamp. Not like the Suzhou rice paddy field, And the Vietnamese were cooperative. Okay, I want the land cleared, resettlement. We took care of the people in the village. And we paid for them to develop houses. They moved the people in the industrial park totally to a new housing. They put electricity and water, they took off. Today, Vietnam Industrial Park has 20 parks. Whole country, the same owner, same participant. First 10 years, I got 51%, Sembawang. Vietnamese partner become 49. 10 years later, they have 51, 49, and we are still partners. So the key, you must work with partners, give them due respect, and work with them. Because they have local. The reason why I do a 51, 49 and flip over, I don't want to pay for land as an international investor. If you own 65, they will charge you international rates. You have 51, I only 51 temporary because my job takes responsibility for the first 10 years. But you are actually 51 forever. So after 10 years, an 11 year until ad infinitum, they have 51. So they charge me local land prices, not international prices. There was a mistake of Suzhou. We went in, we said we want 65, 35. The Chinese very simple, I charge you the international rate. That's how we nearly died. And I got them to flip over. The moment I flip over to Singapore 35, they are 65, no more trouble. So you must respect our neighbor. The land is theirs. The people need a job. You must prepare to respect them.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Mano and Mr. Philip. Thank you so much for the talk. So I have 2 questions. The first one is one of your advices is to steal talent. And yeah, you can to kidnap some people. So I guess my first question is, can we kidnap you to the Philippines?
Well, again, can you what?
Can we kidnap and steal you for the Philippines?
You want to be kidnapped, is it?
See, Mr. Philip. And then my second question is, what is your... Okay. Oh yeah, my question is, can we steal you for the Philippines?
He wants to kidnap you.
Well, I have a classmate in Philippines, Joe, my Harvard classmate. He became ambassador to Singapore until a year ago. He sent his daughter here to Singapore to study. So we have a lot of a lot of relationship there. But Philippines is quite different because they're very American style.
Yes.
Education, I don't know. I know Malaysia quite well. That's why we set up schools there. Even in Indonesian, I find it very difficult to set up schools. So we try to do international school. We have an international school in Jakarta. We try to set international school. Now we set ACS International in Bali. So the trouble with Philippines, we have no common colonial masters. So it's harder. But there are many Filipinos here and Singaporeans are there. So there's no reason, yeah. But we welcome Singapore. Our university should take students from Philippines here. In fact, we get a lot of students from Indonesia. Actually, we should get more students from but we have ASEAN scholarship. We should cover, yeah. I don't know how active the ASEAN scholarship. We should take them more from ASEAN students.
Okay, so the message is don't even try. Okay, yes, please.
I have a second question. The second question is, what would be your advice for the other ASEAN members given Singapore's economic successes?
Well, my closest dealing with investment is Indonesia, because I still do in Indonesia. Malaysia is quite developed. Indonesia's biggest challenge is every year there are 3 more million people. So job creation is a big challenge. But it's a big country, and it's physically scattered over the place. So many of the Indonesian ministers always visit Singapore. Every now and then they ask for advice, I pop over or they come over. So they say, but I can't change the system because only they can execute it. Because at the end of the day, it's localization, local policies, local skill. So at most I can give advice comments, but ultimately they have to do it their own way. So what Singapore can do is help them in any way possible, and especially in education, medical care, or research. So I meet with Indonesian ministers quite often, they come down. Yesterday I had a meeting at 5 o'clock. At the post-season, the Minister of Investment from Jordan. I was in Jordan in 2018, they invited me. I was there 48 hours. I arrived on Sunday, I rested on Monday, I spent the whole day with them, visit all the schools, give a public lecture, flew home on the same day. So he was then Minister of Information, Telecoms guy. So he's just been appointed Minister of Investment. He asked me, I want to create an EDB in Jordan. So I made to send Manohar down there.
Why you always want to send me away? Okay, please keep your questions short. We have a hard stop at 3. So I'll be very strict, right? Just ask your questions quickly. Yes, please. And only one question. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Andrei Holkov. I'm from Russian Federation, and the question is about the Singaporean students you sent to get their PhDs and complete their education abroad to the US. How did you make Singapore attractive for them to return after they complete their education?
Well, let me answer the first part. In Singapore government, there's a system called bond. When you study, so I studied in Germany, the German government paid for it, but I was bonded to Singapore for 8 years. So I had no choice but to come back. And the bond was $150,000, which in today's money is about 1.8 million. So that's a great motivation to come back. That was in the early days. I think now most people come back because of the opportunities. Yeah.
Well, I went to Canada, paid by the Canadian government. My classmates went to Australia, UK. When Singapore became independent, we only asked for one thing. We want scholarships. But when they receive a scholarship, we bother them. In most countries, they get scholarship, they can't run away. So Singapore is smarter than, okay, we get the money, but you have to work. So we came home, to be fair, if I graduate, I can't find a job in Canada anyway, I have to come back. If I come back, at least I got a job for 5 years. My time I born only 5 years, now we got 8 years, right?
Come on.
8 years,
Doesn't sound fair.
So the reality is that for the first 5 years, you're being paid to learn. Why complain? So young people who break bond are dead against it.
Once you are used to having a bond, you cannot live without it. Okay, ready?
Thank you very much.
Please.
Hi, Mr. Yeo. I've noticed that you're also from U of T, and there's many other students among myself that are coming from U of T as well. So my question is, having studied and worked across multiple countries and the economic landscape, I'm curious that in your view, what are some of the most important factors that drive the long-term economic development in such a small open economy like Singapore? Because as I've noticed these days that it is not like necessarily agriculture industry or like it has big manufacturer. Like what is the key that makes this country such a strong nation as of today?
Good question. Right.
She said, what makes Singapore such a unique country, so strong? What is it?
In Singapore, our economy is diversified. 20% of our GDP is manufacturing and financial services, trade. So in a sense, we diversify. Even our manufacturing, we have multiple sectors: semiconductor, pharma, aerospace, engineering. So the key of Singapore is to be diversified. Secondly, in Singapore, we welcome international investors. They own 100%, because we have no local market to entice them. So in Singapore, it's quite unique in a sense. So when the Jordanian minister was asking me how to develop Jordan, I said, well, maybe you can use the advantage of a neighborhood. Right? And you are in Jordan, the education is in English style, A-level, interesting. So the young minister is only born 1980, so it's about 45 or so. So he says, you're going to go back and may come back again. So each country has their own solution. There is no transportation of Singapore solution. It's very difficult.
So, in your opinion, is because the economy is really diversified, so that's what makes it like able to sustain long-term growth?
Yeah, diversified, globalized, diverse, global, hopefully entrepreneurial. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes, please.
Hi, Mr. Philip. My name is Jawahar and from Khalifa University, Abu Dhabi. And me and my 4 other colleagues from Khalifa University were just wondering, because you mentioned Mubadala, and I just did my internship in Mubadala, and you mentioned that we had a gap in technicians. I just wanted to clarify, for you to clarify more about this, and because in our opinion, Mubadala is one of the biggest global and national investment companies in science and technology. So can you clarify more on that topic, and if you maybe have any advice for us? I'm a biologist, my colleagues are engineers over here, so we're the youth of Abu Dhabi and the UAE, so if you have any words.
First, clarify whether there is really a shortage of technicians in Mubadala. Then any advice for young graduates?
Okay, I was on a Zoom last year. UAE, they hired McKinsey, and they asked me, because I don't want to travel, so we'll do a Zoom for 2 hours on promoting investments. I said, no, in Abu Dhabi, your energy, the main export is energy. But what Abu Dhabi has done, because my friends there, they have now gone downstream. They have followed the same way as Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has Aramco, they have a company called Sabic. Sabic was a joint venture between the Saudi government and Chevron to do downstream chemicals. Because when they're upstream, we just produce the petroleum itself. We're selling oil, and not many jobs. So what Saudi Arabia was, they come to Jurong Island many times. They came with a great idea. Now they created an ecosystem where more and more of the production goes down to downstream, chemical and petrochemical. So Abu Dhabi doing the same. We have a company called APNOC.
Yes.
I have friends down there who's a boss on there. So, but these are still engineering intensive industry. Now what Abu Dhabi asked me, can they create R&D? So I forgot who's that guy responsible, McKinsey advisor. I said, R&D, you need to invest in graduate education. You need to invest in PhDs. You need to focus on maybe key areas. What are the key areas? One is medical sciences, medical healthcare, which you've got good hospitals there. I know several hospitals there. But the key is you need critical mass. So one advantage of Abu Dhabi, are you prepared to take students from the region? You've got many people from the region, Syria, Jordan, wherever. If you can bring those people in, and then take them, you need to build a critical mass. Science is not a one-man job, it's a team. The bigger the team, the bigger the potential to grow. So unlike any other industry, science is the more talent you have, the bigger potential to succeed. So if I were Abu Dhabi government, I'd say look for 1 or 2 areas. In fact, they took my plans, I gave them on a PowerPoint. I don't know whether they transfer it, because they asked me, can you come and help? I said, physically I don't like to travel. I'm invited several times by this country. They want me to stay there, Popida border. I said, I'm prepared to give advice. my own view, you need to kidnap talent. Your own population is not big enough.
Okay, thank you. I think we have 5 minutes. I will ask all 3 of you to ask your questions, and we'll see whether we can summarize together. Yep. You go ahead first.
My question is regarding what you've done in biopharma, right? Can it be cross-applied to other industries? So for example, in like tech and AI, I think the recent breakthrough with LLMs and all that, could that have come from Singapore instead of from the US?
Okay, thank you. We'll hold that question. Yeah.
Okay, my question is more in the context of Singapore, because we still want to maintain our significance in the world. What do you think are the industries that we should be paying attention to, especially those which is not getting too much attention in the media, so that we can maintain our status?
Okay, thank you. Very good question. Finally.
Yeah, my question is just about, many of us here want to do a startup, like our own company. So you mentioned that the new generation is a bit different working style, like thank God it's Thursday. So what's your advice in how can we combat that? How do we adapt to this new group of working people?
Okay. So Chairman, I will paraphrase the question. So one question is what we have learned in growing the biopharmaceutical industry. Can we emulate it for other industries, right? The experience, can we emulate it for other industries? And linked to that is what other industries can we promote in Singapore? I think that's the first question. Yeah.
The biopharma industry is a very science-based industry. So I'm not too sure you can copy that way. AI, right now, there's no industry. AI is still at that stage where the LLM can be used. Every industry is trying to find how to make use of AI. So there are more applications. So AI is not an industry. AI is a tool. So now we have medical scientists trying to use AI for protein development, protein design. You have accounting firm trying to use it for. So AI is almost like internet. So there's not an industry, but it's an application. So that's key. So my own view is that you need to treat AI as everyone must have a basic understanding. So today, if you look at your Google, there's a little part that's called AI. So it becomes another internet. Not many people are aware that there's no industry in AI per se. And that's what reality is. You use it as a tool. You use it in engineering, software, medical research. So it will be a tool. So I'm not too sure you can translate that way.
Any other industries you think we should, any new industries? That was the second question.
Well, right now, the key industry now we have is still new materials. New materials is still very important. Right now, look at the say electric battery. We have reached a limit on lithium. We reached a limit on this. So now they're looking at solid state. Solid state is still expensive. Different material. The Chinese are very simple. They use lithium phosphate. American, they use manganese. So the Chinese, we already CATL battery is used cheaper and lower, but whether it lasts longer, the range. So the new material for batteries is still being researched. So the key industry today now is basically chemistry. Batteries is chemistry. So many countries are trying to do that. But so far, the only one succeeded is really China. That's in the European had this Norfolk died. Just kaput, money is gone. I don't know why. First of all, why they put up so far north. Right? So America, see, CATL batteries actually came from America. I remember there's a company called A123, American company. But American company have no patience. So what the Chinese have done is, you may invent, but I can produce it. You can innovate, but I can commercialize. It's a difference.
I think finally the last question is, maybe we make it more general. Would you have any advice for the young people here, either starting off a career under employment or as entrepreneurs?
Well, we have Block 71 there to help you. So if any of you have an idea, you can talk to there's a group helping out startups. In fact, not all of them will succeed. But remember, most startups fail. The key, you must learn from their failure. If you don't fail, you never learn. And what you must realize that you need to have a team of people. Funding is only one problem. The biggest problem in startup is management. because you may get the funding, but most companies fail because they don't have the skill set. So you need to have older people in science talk something about talk to them. And they're supported by ASA and JTC and also ESG. So all the agencies are there. Go and talk to them because it's easy to start a startup, but easy to fail. Most startups fail, so you must accept failure as a fact of life. You cry because all fail to failure. The more failure you have done, you are more mature person. So you must accept most startups fail. The one succeed, maybe out of 10. And many of those societies will then tell you, failure is a fact of life. So you must prepare to have disappointment. That's right. Luckily now maybe my generation will have to take care of parents. Now the parents take care of you. So you can ask for Papa Mama funding some support.
Okay, I think with that we have come to the end. If I may, before you all clap, just okay, clap first, clap first. I think for those who have not done it yet, I advise you all to go and read this book, Neither Civil Nor Servant, because that's same. He's supposed to be a civil servant, but he's neither civil nor servant. But treat it as an economic thriller. It's one of the very rare books that I read from end to end at one go. Normally I'm very lazy. The reason why I tell you, don't treat it a bit as fictional. Be inspired from it, learn from it, but don't try and emulate it. Because if you try to be like Philip Yeo, you are going to fail. Because there's only one Philip Yeo, our chairman. Thank you very much.
Test. Thank you, Mr. Yeo and Mr. Khiatani, for the insightful conversation.